In 1996, Zyprexa, which is a drug manufactured by the company Eli Lilly, it was approved for use by the FDA in the treatment of schizophrenia. And then by 2004, they had also approved it to treat bipolar disorder. But Eli Lilly marketed and sold Zyprexa for unapproved off-label uses. That off-label marketing put patients at serious risk for developing severe and harmful health conditions, including death. Because of their practices, the Attorney General's office filed suit against Eli Lilly in March of 2007. I'm proud to announce today that earlier this week we entered into a settlement with Eli Lilly to settle this lawsuit for $13 million. I'm also incredibly honored to announce the creation of the Montana Mental Health Trust, which will receive $9.5 million from this settlement. This trust will be run by retired Supreme Court Justice John Warner. The trust will use its treasury for the sole purpose of funding mental health services in the state of Montana.
It's a personal honor to be given a responsibility such as this, and I think that it is truly a responsibility. For the honor part, I think all of us in this state owe a debt of gratitude to Attorney General Bullock and his staff for actually pursuing this matter and for establishing this trust so that we can help those that suffer from some mental illness. I know that this isn't going to solve all of the problems, but it is going to be a help, and it is something that we can be proud of, that we're able to do this.
Having this grant available allows local communities to develop the facilities and the nonprofit organizations that we can offer services to keep people who are suffering from a mental illness crisis in the community. And that's so much better to deal with folks like that. It's so much more humane. It's so much less traumatic to them as well as their families. And it has a much greater chance of seeing that they stay, that they don't go through their mental illness and it doesn't reach a crisis stage. And so that's the promise of this grant.
Approximately 45,000 people in the state of Montana suffer from severe disabling mental illnesses. This affects 1 in 5 families in our state. And I think this settlement in this lawsuit will do a great deal to help people who live with mental illness and their family members obtain treatment, appropriate medication, and the hope for recovery.
By default, law enforcement is the first responders in a crisis situation. How an officer deals with that individual in crisis within the first few minutes can determine a positive or negative experience of both the officer and the patient. It must be remembered that the individuals that present as mental health complaints are patients, not criminals. A safe place for that individual to receive the help that he needs is crucial. This establishment of this trust will continue the funding for critical components in the care for individuals suffering from mental health events. One of the most encouraging components to the set up of this trust is that law enforcement will have a position on the board and that there are provisions that mandate funding for officer training, crisis intervention funding for individuals that come in contact with law enforcement exhibiting signs and symptoms of mental illness.
The trust is set up largely like the Sarco Trust, in as much as that it was from a lawsuit, court-ordered trust, saying that the money will be used for specific purposes. There's a number of identified categories that includes crisis intervention services, training and education for law enforcement and health care professionals, funding for patients transitioning to independent living environments, children's mental health programs, peer-to-peer services. Then within the trust document and also other things. The trust must identify those identified are enumerated needs. Then it can also go to other matters that deal with mental health services. The trust document says that the money all must be spent by December of 2012, but that's no hard and fast rule. That I think the need is out there, and hopefully this money will start going into, as Dr. Mihelich said, filling some of those holes and to address that need as soon as possible.